So the injuries we're seeing are alarming, right? You guys know this. We used to come to this meeting and we used to talk about internal impingement, we used to talk about slap lesions, we used to talk about Tommy John, right? That was like this whole meeting summarized, right there. Now we're talking about lat tears. Now we're talking about pec tears. I had a kid fracture a rib on one pitch. Fracture a rib? Think about that. You know, it's hard to fracture a rib on a pitch, right? I don't even know how that makes sense, but it happened. Right, so we're seeing all these things. We're seeing thoracic outlet syndrome just becoming more and more prevalent as these guys are just chucking rocks at walls all the time. I mean, we're just seeing all these things that we're seeing with these kids. The injuries are alarming. So remember, in this study, 2 of the players that got injured had 10 degrees increase in external rotation. So I think that's really it. The question comes down to, are we pushing past their physiological limit? I think that's what it is. And I think that's what we're going to find when we talk about the pendulum swinging back. I think we're going to find that eventually, look, these programs have a place, but we're overdosing right now. We haven't figured out exactly what to do. But the real question is are we not really taking a break from throwing? So Dr. Fleissig, Dr. Andrews, everybody at ASMI, they spent the last 30 years of their life telling us that the #1 reason why kids get injured is from overuse, and it worked, right? We have great pitch count rules. Every coach in America now doesn't just throw bullpens all winter long like they used to, right? We've learned that you need to take a break. You need to take a break from throwing. We know that if you pitch for more than 8 months out of the year, you're 5 times more likely to get injured. That's a staggering number, 5 times, right? So we know that now. So what have coaches done? They've said, great, well, we can't throw bullpens all year. I don't know what to do with my athletes, so I'm going to do these velocity programs. And I think what you're going to find out now, especially with Glenn's talk next and some of these other talks coming up, that throwing these weighted balls equals or surpasses the stress on the arm that pitching off the mound does, as does aggressive long toss. So if you throw all winter long with weighted balls and long toss, that equal or surpasses the stress on the mound. The body doesn't care if you're throwing a baseball 60 feet, 180 feet. It doesn't care if you're throwing a water balloon at your little sister. It doesn't care what you're doing. It just cares about stress on the arm, right? So it doesn't matter what you're doing. But if you're surpassing that, then I think you're entering this 5 times risk zone, and that's an interesting thing. Overuse is not just quantity. That's an important variable to kind of remember. It's an equation of quantity plus intensity. That's why you can have somebody like Tim Wakefield that's literally throwing a 65-mile-per-hour knuckleball pitch every day. He can go every day, right? You see him in the playoffs come back on 2 days rest and pitch out of the bullpen because he's not throwing hard enough. Yet everybody on the Mets can go 6 weeks and then they rip open a muscle, right? You see what I mean, right? You kind of see that because they're all throwing 100, right? So this overuse is an equation. We don't know the appropriate dose. We know weighted balls aren't appropriate for everybody. We have to figure out how to individualize these programs. But more importantly, weighted balls aren't evil. We're just not doing them right. They can't be the foundation of a velocity program, right? We always say if this is what you're focusing on, you're working on the frosting before you've baked your cake. The cake is good skeletal maturity, a solid strength and conditioning program, a rock-strong shoulder and rotator cuff and scapular stability, all that fun stuff, and good mechanics. If you've nailed all those things and you still want to take the risk and push past your physiological limits to try to make it to the bigs, congratulations, this is an appropriate program for you. Thank you.